Okay, today I watched Wild Wild Country. It's a new documentary series on Netflix, and I want to talk about that, and I also want to talk about kind of my own personal thoughts on the philosophy of, well, we'll get there. I don't know if you guys have heard of Osho or not, but that's something Osho is someone whose teachings I've been listening to for a long time, so I'm going to speak on that afterwards as well. Alright, so Wild Wild Country. I wanted to talk about the documentary first of all because I think it deserves to be talked about. Wild Wild Country is probably one of the truest examples of what a documentary should be. This is documentary filmmaking at its best because they did such an amazing job telling a story. Telling you a story of something that actually happened without leaning towards one side or the other, without taking a side, without trying to convince you of anything. I've never seen a documentary like this, I don't think, in my life. Like, every documentary I've watched has always, leaned one way or the other. It's trying to convince you of one side or the other, right? You watch these documentaries about veganism or paleo dieting or, whatever it might be, the O.J. Simpson trial. You watch a documentary and it's trying to put forward a certain viewpoint and it wants you to see it that way, right? Or even if you watch something on science, right? If you watch a documentary on global warming or climate change, it wants you to believe something when it's telling you it, right? It's not just offering you up different ideas, different opinions, and facts, right? It's giving you kind of one set of opinions and facts that support the story, and that's it. This documentary, it was crazy because at first you almost think it's trying to make you side with one group or another, but it wasn't. Okay, see, like the first few episodes, you're kind of feeling this way. The very next episode, you're like, oh shit, now I'm feeling this way. Now I'm seeing things from the other side, and I'm kind of feeling what the other side feels. And it was crazy. The whole documentary was that way. Like, I went back and forth the whole time. Okay, so let me tell you what the documentary is about. Back in the 1980s, early 1980s, a group of people called the Rajneeshis, it was a religion of sorts, right? They wanted to start a commune, and they wanted to build a city of their own, and where they would have everything be like self-sufficient. They would farm their own land, and they would develop their own currency, and they would just completely support itself, right? Without any help from the outside world. They had their own electricity, their own water supply, like everything. Okay. So they had a dream of doing that, and they thought the best place they could do that was in the United States, because we have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and they should be allowed to do this, start their own city. You don't need that many people in an area for them to declare it a city, right? So these people moved in, and they had this spiritual guru known as Rajneesh, or known as Osho, or Bhagwan, many different names, but he was like the leader, okay, the spiritual leader. And then he had like lieutenants and secretaries and people who kind of ran things. It was like a business, it was like a community, right? And they came to a city or an area outside of a small town in Oregon, and they bought up huge amounts of land, like hundreds of thousands of acres, right? And they had so much money when they came, they built their own small city. They built their own city. Like, it was incredible. And it worked for a while. It was self-sufficient. And they had, like I said, they had their own electricity. They had their own currency. They had their own shops and diners and their own goods that they produced. And they farmed their own land. They had their own cattle. And it was pretty incredible, really. It was an experiment a lot of people have talked about doing, kind of a communal living type thing, but never been able to do. And for a while, this thing worked until it was found out that there was a lot of corruption and scary shit going on, right? this documentary mainly focuses on the wrongdoers within this religion that some people believe is a cult, some people believe it's a religion, some people just think it's a group of people who wanted to do something different. Okay, but the leader, Osho, he was a spiritual leader in India for a long period of time. And then that's when basically him and his followers decided to come here and do this, okay? And a lot of people here got a little freaked out, man, like especially in Oregon. You got these farmers, and they're not used to this type of thing. Like, there's all these hippies coming in, there's all these just very different people, very like sexual people, there's people nude sunbathing, just, it was a very open, hippie kind of community, and it freaked a lot of people out, like, to say the least. It scared the people there, and the people there had a big problem with these people coming in because they began to take over neighboring towns. They began to insert themselves into government, and the crazy stuff that happens in this thing, like, I don't want to tell you the specifics because I want you to watch this documentary because, like I said, it's awesome. I don't want to tell you specifics because if you're like me at all, and this happened when I was a baby, okay? I was born in 1984. This happened from like 1981 to 1985-ish, okay? And I didn't know anything about it. And I'm guessing you're probably like me, and you don't know much about this, or maybe had never heard of it if you're a younger person. But the truth is stranger than fiction in this story. In fact, I was telling my mom about the story, and she didn't remember it at all, and it was huge. It was a national story, right? It was huge. There's all this corruption. There's like poisoning going on, attempted murder, attempted assassinations. Like, it got crazy. And like I said, it's if I just told you the story, you'd be like, no, that's that's an idea for a TV series. That's an idea for a very dramatic movie. No, this actually happened, and that's what's so crazy about it. Okay, so highly, highly recommend this documentary. I think you should go check it out. It's on Netflix. I think it just released this week, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it. So go watch it, please. If you want to see what documentary filmmaking is supposed to look like, this is a fantastic example of it. Because I didn't feel like they were trying to make me believe anything in this. They just presented all sides, all opinions, and all the facts. And it's just great storytelling, like true storytelling. So, the thing I wanted to talk about this is that the leader, Osho, who has since passed, I personally have heard a lot of Osho's talks. I've read some literature about and by Osho, and the philosophy of Osho is a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. Like, when I was going down kind of this spiritual awakening path a couple of years ago, and just soaking in all the different spiritual literatures I could, and things like that, and just exploring spirituality, right, is when I found Osho. And like I said, I'm not a Rajneeshi, okay? I just wanted you to know that when I went into this, for one, I really enjoy the philosophy of Osho, but I didn't know all this background story behind it. But at the end of the movie, I could still walk away enjoying the philosophy of Osho, and just knowing that some fucked up shit happened around this religion, if you will. And but the teachings of Osho are super legit. If you want some really good, like, spiritual talk, spiritual teaching, look up Osho. Look up Osho International on YouTube, because there's like 1 million talks on there. But it seems like, yeah, that's what I liked about the documentary, because it didn't go, oh, you like Osho? Oh, well, he's a fraud, so you should hate him. And it didn't go, oh, you love Osho, or oh, you don't like Osho, this is why he was abused by the government. And it's neither one. It lets you make up your own mind, and you don't even have to make up your mind. You just can hear a story, and it's pretty great. It's pretty great. I think, like I said, I really enjoy the philosophy of Osho. I don't like that it became this Rajneesh religion. I don't like that they were basically worshiping this guy as a mortal god. I do think he was a great teacher. He had some really good insights, and he was good at speaking to people, honestly. Like I said, his philosophy, the philosophy that he kind of, the message that he gives is, it's kind of a mix of like Hindi / Buddhist philosophies. And if I had to compare, like, name something that was closest, some religion, organized religion that was closest to my philosophies, I would say Buddhism. From all the things that I've read of different religions, that hits the closest to home for me. And so a lot of the stuff that he was teaching falls in line with a lot of stuff that I think are spiritual truths. And the one thing that I learned in my kind of spiritual studies was a Buddhist idea of don't get rid of the message with the messenger. Don't take a message as the person who's giving it. Okay, so because humans are fallible, and there are real pieces of shit out there, right? But they could say something really fucking true. They could say something that has so much truth in it that it's universal. However, they're not a very good person. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, then all the teachings are bullshit. Well, no. That's what Buddhism teaches us, is like, don't follow the message, not the messenger, okay? Don't worship a person, follow the philosophies. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Same type of thing. Like, you take the good from something. If it's a universal or spiritual truth, it doesn't mean that it's no longer a universal spiritual truth if the person giving the message turns out to be not so perfect, right? So that's something I've learned, and I think is very true, because all human beings are fallible, and but they're all capable of speaking truth. They're all capable of doing good. So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to talk about that and kind of tell you how I was a little biased going in, but that coming out, like, it changed kind of the ways I looked at some of it, but I'm able to say it's a beautiful philosophy that was being taught, but say what came about around that philosophy was not good things. So watch the documentary. Tell me what you think about it. Please leave comments below, because I want to talk about this. And I've only seen one other review on here, and that's Jason with a Y. And he had a great review. I don't think he had finished watching the series yet, though. But he had a great review. If you want more like info about the series, go watch his review. That's Jason with a Y. If you go to his channel, he's got, like I said, he breaks it down a lot more. I just wanted to tell you the basic outline, have you watch it, and then tell you kind of my thoughts on Osho and the philosophy of the Rajneeshi. So, yeah. All right. If you like videos like this, please subscribe for more. Like this video if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.